All right, this video is going to go through 3 concept questions. We're going to start with this one on the screen. Please pause the video and determine what you think the answer is. So the correct answer here is C. We are assuming massless ropes, meaning within any one given rope, the tension will be the same, and we also don't need to worry about the force of gravity on the rope itself. So the rope that's connecting box A to box B, we're calling tension 1. The rope pulling the whole system to the right is tension 2. If we focus in on what tension 2 is doing, I could say that tension 2, pulling to the right, is pulling this whole system. That rope is responsible, because this is a frictionless surface, it is responsible for accelerating both of these boxes together, giving them the same acceleration. As opposed to, if I want to zoom in and focus on just tension 1, I could draw this picture and say tension 1 here is pulling to the right. But it is only pulling on box A. So tension 1 is only responsible for accelerating box A. Now granted, it's tension 1's pulling back on box B. So not only does tension 2 have to accelerate box B, but it must also, in turn, indirectly accelerate box A. So tension 2 has to be bigger than tension 1. So here's the second question. Try answering it on your own first. The correct answer here is C. Now, it is a little silly to assume negligible weight, or not silly per se, but a scale's going to have weight, is what I'm trying to say. But just to understand these concepts, we're going to assume the scales themselves don't have any significant mass. As we do that, if I focus on just the fish, I know this fish is experiencing the pull of gravity, which this problem tells us is 16 newtons. It is also feeling this tension right in here. I'll call that tension 1. Because the fish is just hanging there, it's not accelerating in any way, this tension 1 needs to balance out the weight of the fish. Otherwise, there would be an acceleration. Okay, let's think here of this middle scale. The middle scale is tied to this little string or rope that is attaching the fish to the scale. So that means that scale is feeling the pull of tension down, which we know has to be 16 newtons to balance the fish. And then above it, it is experiencing a tension upwards because it is connected to the next scale. Since the acceleration is 0, these forces must balance each other out. So the top scale is essentially reading tension 2, which we now know needs to be 16 newtons. The bottom scale is reading tension 1, which also needs to read 16 newtons. So this is why the answer is C. It can be helpful to break down into those individual components within the system to better understand what's happening and how those forces are relating. Okay, one more. Read through that. correct answer here is B. So when we look at rope 1, it is simply connected to the ceiling and then connected to this mass. The mass itself is feeling the pull of gravity downwards and then the tension upwards. Because the block is at rest, we know the tension here has to equal that 50 kilogram mass times 9.8. If they were not equal, there would be an acceleration for that block. When we come to this second side, we have a pulley. Right now we are assuming what we call massless, frictionless pulleys. In that, we're going to assume no rotation. They allow the rope to slide if it's going to move. They allow the rope to slide without friction, is ultimately what we are going to assume for now. Now, granted, we have 50 kilograms on both sides, so the rope itself is getting pulled on this side by 50, on this side by 50 kilograms, the weight of those. So the rope is going to have the same tension everywhere, which this picture is implying by labeling it 2, meaning tension 2, on both sides. Whenever we have interacting objects, these two masses are connected by a rope. So for example, if I started to pull down on this side, on the right side, the left side would go up. Those two masses will move together, not in the same direction, obviously, because of the pulley, but they will both end up moving if I pull either side. So to represent the tension in this specific case, I can look at either one of these 50 kilogram masses attached to the rope that is considered rope 2. Well, this mass is experiencing the force of gravity. It's experiencing tension 2 upwards. And then the fact that they're telling us that the blocks are all at rest is important. If they're at rest, this pulley system is balanced, they're going to remain at rest. If there's no acceleration, then the tension in that rope needs to equal mg, the 50 kilograms times the 9.8. So this is why they have the same tension.